I forgot to focus the camera. I forgot so much. Hang on. Okay, I've got to do some housekeeping. I need to adjust the angle like that, like so. I'm going to use my calculator as a focus target, like so. And then I'm going to stay out of the field of view, because if I sit down right now, you are going to see my face in extreme close-up, and that is a terrible sight. Okay, now I can sit down. Now I can sit down. See? Seamless. No, nobody noticed a thing. It was perfect. I am a pro at this. Been doing this for so long. It is a slick, seamless procedure. I get it right every single time. First time, every time. Okay, where are we? Where are we? Okay, I'm going to do this first because every week I almost forget it. So I'm going to do it right up front. I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Whadjuk Noongar peoples. I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. See? See? Seamless. Seamless! Yeah, John, now you have to refocus your glasses. Yes. It's your eyes, it's not me. It's not me. I didn't... Oh, great. Tinker. Stop playing with the calculator. Go out into the world. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? I don't know. Okay, since I forgot last week, let's throw some nerd brags at me. Let's do that. Michael D says, Brain D, segmentation fault, core dumped, yeah. Can you get anything out of the stack trace, or is it just gone? Gone, that's how I feel. You can probably hear it in my voice too. Kind of weird. I went to bed last night just feeling tired, but otherwise fine. Woke up this morning kind of coughing a little bit. And I was sick only a week and a bit ago, so I don't like this at all. I really hope that it has... Yes, Michael. Sadly, that is the case. Yeah. Hopefully it's just a... something. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Don't know what it is. Yes, should have been a 7. Okay. Restoring equilibrium. Now, what are we going to do today? What we are going to do is, hopefully, a little bit of experimentation with, ta-da, this. And last night, before I headed off, I sent these parts to print. These are the extra bits that go on the picker. So there is the base that it all sits on. There is another little, thing. Functional. I'm functional, I promise. Couple more things. Whatever those things are. So one thing that I realized is that I have been incredibly disrespectful of Vic's documentation. So what I'm going to do is sing to you. No, I'm not going to sing to you. I am going to do this and okay, overview, pre-built, blah blah blah. There should be some stuff in the wiki, main project page, and there are general updates on the blog. Okay, let's have a quick look on the wiki, see what has been updated on there. This page last month, but let's see. Mouse C build process. Mouse L V5 is this one. I believe this is the one that we're currently editing, that we are currently doing. What am I saying? You know, as an aside here, collecting my thoughts. And part of what I'm doing is collecting my thoughts about collecting my thoughts. It's a really weird thing to do a live stream that is scheduled when there is a... how do I explain this? I have to be prepared. I have to be on. I have to be ready to go at a very specific time, to the minute, and ready to press the button and start talking. And the majority of the time actually, I do not feel prepared. It's incredibly rare for me to feel like I'm ready to go. And every time I start, I just have this feeling that I am, sorry, I'm being distracted by looking at this. Every time I start, I think I should have spent additional hours getting ready for this. But it's this feeling that the time is coming, the camera is going to be rolling, even though cameras don't roll anymore because they don't use film. And I don't know what I'm trying to say, other than it would be kind of nice if there was some fungibility about the start time. It just sort of started approximately. Not like a hard start time. I came in this morning thinking, yeah, I'm going to drill out the nuts so that they are ready to go as the bearings for the M3 bolts. And Amanda, take your dog for a walk. Yes, that sounds like a much better thing to be doing. Yeah, ideas. I had ideas about other things that I should have done. And then it just got to 9:59 and I was quickly panicking, opening OBS and getting things ready, turning on the microphone, forgetting to focus the camera, as you saw. I could surprise us by starting early. No. But the thing is that if it would only ever be late, that's the reality. And the thing is that if I didn't hold myself to that 10 o'clock start time, it would slip, and then it would slip more, and it would just keep getting later and later. So I have to do it. Now, a couple of things that I can do. I need to... all right. I did order a whole lot of M3 bolts last week. They are in transit. They have not yet arrived. I believe they're in Australia. I got a customs clearance notification for them. But I do not yet have the M3 bolts that I need for assembling the access drivers on the other two stages. So what I'm probably going to have to do is be brutal and use longer bolts and cut them. So, start time is a right skewed bell curve. Probably, Michael. Yeah, I think that's an accurate way of putting it. So, can one of you, or all of you, it may take the combined power of everyone, please help my brain get into gear, get my thoughts together, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's have a look at the blog, because I know Vic has done some updates here recently. Okay. RepRapMicron, backlash tests. Yeah, so these are some things that were just posted. Like, where is the time? 9:22 a.m. Tuesday, March 17th. So that was during the week. So look at this. Redoing the grid produced something quite a bit nicer. Still not perfect, but shaping up and close enough to speed up. To proceed with some backlash compensation. So this is a grid being scratched into what looks like Sharpie marker. And, wait, why didn't you go back when I clicked you? And so that's a 10 by 10 grid of 100 micron squares. To compensate, yeah, okay. Little divot in the bottom left is just me figuring out where the substrate is. Okay, so coming back in here. That little thing there, yeah, all right. So that would have been homing the Z-axis. Oh, and this was the previous one. So this is when one of the bolts was a bit loose, and you can see that it's a bit inconsistent in its spacing. But that newer one that we were just looking at is significantly better. This one looks really nice. Pick a preliminary backlash test. Okay, a vertical series of lines plus an increasing, decreasing delta. Yeah. Upper lines were done left to right, lower ones right to left. And interesting. Yep. So backlash testing. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. Ooh. So, as Vic said, the results here, to my immense surprise and joy, show no discernible backlash on the lines at each end, which are the ones that are supposed to line up if everything is aligned properly with no backlash. There might be a bit, but it's within the noise of dragging across a probe across the surface subtractively. Yeah. Look at this. So these first ones, you can see, are pretty much perfectly aligned. And this one up here, these look pretty much perfectly aligned as well. It looks like the bed level was slightly low on this side, so the probe is not making as much contact down towards this back right corner as it was with some of the plate across here to the left. But you can still see the line, and you can see that it is very much aligned there, and the line here is also very much aligned. So these lines were done, and then starting from the right, it was done right to left. These lines were done, and they have ended up, so this top left line, just my interpretation of what Vic has said here, this top left line was the first one that was done, the bottom left line is the last line that was done, and look how perfect the alignment is. So good. Ah, Vic says, I stuffed the vernier algorithm. Check the later post. Yep. Okay. Oh, Michael says, yes, Chuck Norris died 25 years ago. He's just been fighting back ever since. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it took that long for death to actually make it stick. Yes. Ooh, okay, Nerd Brags. Imi said, we were at our last drag racing event for the season yesterday. I ran the timing computers and spoke on the mic and PA for the first time there. So they got to hear your voice. Similarly, from Crispian, called and commented at the season final Ballarat Drag Racing Club event all day yesterday after being unwell and extremely run down all week. But it sounds like you are getting back there. Gavin said, Chuck's the guy who rejected John West. Yeah, there's so many Chuck Norris facts. Chuck Norris facts are awesome. Okay, so this is with the vernier scale. More detailed examination of the backlash. Line spacing is approximately 80 microns. Okay, the first set of lines, upper or left, spacing increases by 0.5 micron. Other set is at a constant spacing, heading in the opposite direction. Aligns with the fourth or fifth marker. Okay. The backlash is doubled, so backlash, and mainly to increase the strength of the backlash bands on the x-axis driver. Okay, the slightly kinky line is where I bump the bench. Okay, we see the bump right there. There's a little bump. Yeah, okay. So, ooh, John Whips. Brag, after one of the wettest winters in this part of the Northern Hemisphere, I have finally fixed the roof of my workshop and am properly watertight again. That's true. Hang on, that's true. My brain just misfired because I was reading another comment while processing the first one. Yeah, being properly watertight is very important. Yes, there is. I've got a leak at the moment. There are a couple of big leaks in the factory here. There is one on the roof just up from where I've got an exhaust vent, like a heating vent in the roof. And the last couple of times it's rained over the last couple of weeks, we've had buckets and buckets of water come through. I've got 3 buckets upstairs at the moment, trying to catch it. And I still had a flood come in. A couple of times I've had floods come down the wall, flood into the cleanish room, and also under the wall and flood out into the mechanical area. So the carpet out there has got wet for a couple of meters radius out from the wall. But I have cleaned up the floor in both places, and it's still quite a mess upstairs, but I need to clean that up. A few days ago I got up on the roof. What day would it have been? Maybe Friday? Thursday? Time? What is time? So one day I got up on the roof with a bunch of silicon and I re-siliconed, and it hasn't rained since, so I don't know if my efforts had any effect. But I think I know what was going on. I think I can see how the water was getting in. I think what was happening is that it was pooling, so the roof is on a gentle slope. It was pooling against a buffer of silicon that is along the edge of the roof vent, and then forming a little puddle that would run back up the roof as that little dam caused the water to back up. And then as it goes back up the roof, there is an overlap where the sheets of iron, one sheet comes over and it's got like an upside down U on it that hooks over the next sheet. And I think what's happening is that if the water was on this sheet, it was going along it and then building up, going up underneath this and then running down that way. So then it was running along the top of the insulation sheet under the roof and then dripping off a little bit further down. So where the leak is coming through is not where the water is getting through the iron. I think the water is getting through the iron, I say iron, corrugated iron, steel, whatever it is, further up. And then it is coming down, running along the top of the insulation and then dripping into a different place, which sadly is directly above the server rack. And so the water all comes through and gets into places where it really should. I really do not want it to be. But, oh well. Working on it. We shall see. Yes, Imi says, Chuck Norris didn't experience death. Death experienced Chuck Norris. Yeah. Well, now that Chuck Norris has gone to meet death, maybe... All right, here's a question for you. Has anyone died since Chuck Norris? Hang on, I've got a cough. Mute time. Maybe that was the end of death. Chuck Norris got there and said, "You, I'm taking you out." And there has been no death since. No, that's, I know, saying that is disrespectful to the people who have passed away since then, but yeah. Robert Mueller? Has Mueller died? Really? Gavin said the Liberal Party died in South Australia. So I heard. Which reminds me, this morning I saw 3 headlines. Hang on, I'm going to see if this comes up. I'm going to see, if I pull up YouTube, there were some new, yes, okay, check this out. I'm going to show you, oh, come on, why can't I select the bottom of that window to shrink it? Yeah, here we go. Check this out. I haven't actually looked into any of this. I'm deliberately shrinking this window so that it's narrowing it down to just these results. So I went to YouTube this morning and look at this. This is the first one that I saw. So I was reading these headlines left to right. Orange tsunami hits. One nation surges in South Australian election landslide. And when I saw that, my first thought was, one nation got elected? What? And then I saw the next one. Labor wins by landslide. And then the next one, South Australian Premier re-elected in landslide win. So what is, I know I generally try to avoid politics, but on stream at least, I'll talk about it off stream. Absolutely. I just try to avoid it on stream. But what is with this reporting? I haven't watched any of this. It's just what popped up on the thing. So 7 News is reporting a One Nation election landslide win, and ABC and Sky News are reporting Labor landslide. So very strange. Oh, okay. Oh, is TTS broken? I hadn't even opened it. See, that's how organized I am. Cast node opening up. Let's see. Get started. Go to login. Come on. Here we go. We're getting it happening. Yep, you can see my password is a whole string of asterisks. And get started. And that one. I don't know why this one is listed as an upcoming stream. And look, there's me and Lachlan. This was when we were demolishing the wall between the front area where I'm sitting right now, and where the cleanish room is. So technically where we are standing right there, I am in the lab, Lachlan is in the cleanish room, except that was before the cleanish room existed, so you can see straight through into the factory. It was all big open space. Anyway, for some reason, this vlog 73, which I should go back and look at just to remind myself of what's changed around here. Vlog 73, it still comes up as an upcoming stream, as if it's been scheduled, but I don't think it appears in the YouTube interface, and it was an uploaded video, not a stream. So I'm not sure why that one always appears as the first one in the list. It's a little odd. Something broken in the YouTube API maybe. So it lists it. This is the actual one, so this is the one we're in right now. And I need to say hello to some people. Hello. This is my list of... Okay, so, peering behind the curtain. This is how I do it. So, good morning to Michael, Crispian, Imi, and John Whips. Gavin Jackson is here. Vic Oliver, Henrik. Hang on, Vic was supposed to be doing some more shooting stuff this morning. Wagon Loads, Sharky, Stephen George, me, Any Mules, Johnny Bergdahl, Grant Mazels, Russell Rainey, Tinker, and Amanda, except Amanda is walking the dog. So I think TTS should now be working. Let's see if, let's try this. I'm going to manually trigger this.
Chuck Norrison.
Yeah, okay, volume check up a bit.
Chuck Norrison.
That's better. All right, we have volume. Good. TTS away. Yeah, TTS is running in a different time zone. Ah, Vic says, I did shootings stuff. Yeah, it does seem not that long ago, and also so long ago. So long ago. Now, where am I? Where am I? How about I do some actual stuff? Okay. Assembly. Photo dump of picker. Assembly. Here we go. Very nice. Okay. Have him. This is her. That's it. Right there. And next, we have, I'm gonna do this. Doink. That. Photo dump. just opening. How far down the page am I? Have I got a lot more to go? I do, don't I? Okay, that'll do for now. Let's have a look through this photo dump. So those parts, those are the ones that I was waving around just at the start. Exhibit, which way? That way. Exhibit, gotta get the angle right. About there. Exhibit and the other pieces. All right, so what we need to do is put in some nuts. Okay, so put in some nuts so that we can screw the top down onto it. What might be better would be screwing from the bottom up into the top, because then excess length of the bolt will stick up. But I'm going to read ahead in the teacher's notes a little bit and see. Yeah, so though doing it this way relies on having screws that are the exact correct length. And what length would that be? Let me see. If I put the nuts on the top and then screw up from the bottom, it doesn't matter if the screws are slightly too long. So I am just going to do some measuring, because my stock of screws is kind of variable. From there to there, I have about 16 millimeters. So something like a 14 millimeter would do it, I think. What I need to do is go and grab my big tub O screws, the screw drawer. Oh, you know what I didn't do before the stream? Turn on the overhead camera as well. So that's something else I need to do. I hadn't really thought through that I was going to be doing some assembly on the bench. Now, I need to get... just put those pieces over there. I need to get the M3 screw drawer out of the cleanish room. So I'm going to do that. Yes, I'm going to do that. Go and grab the M3 screw drawer. This one, that one. Where is the M3 screw drawer? Is it that one? Yes, it's that one. That was a horrible sound. I apologize. Exhibit A. No, B. We already had Exhibit A. M3 screw drawer. This is all the M3 screws. All right, so I need something around 14 to 16 millimeters. Oh, I've got 15 millimeter. I have a whole lot of 15 millimeter bolts. I wonder if these are long enough. Okay, time to turn on the overhead camera and get that focused. And yeah, it feels like I can feel a sneeze coming on. That is kind of unexpected. The unexpected sneeze. Sneezes are never unexpected. You can always tell they're coming. Always. Always. Yeah. Okay, 15. Is a 15 going to be long enough? Let me see. 15 dropped through from... Okay, I'm going to switch to the overhead camera. Here we go. 15 millimeter M3 bolt dropped through from the top of the picker. Oh yeah, that's plenty long enough. 15. Maybe it's too long. Let's see. Does it stick out? No. 15 is perfect. I think. Yeah. Okay. We can do this with 15s. That means that I can put the nuts into the bottom and the bolts won't come through too far. So I need my M3 nuts. I need some of the smaller ones, so I have to be selective about which ones I pull out. No, that one's too big. I don't know if you can see the difference here because it's so far down. There are 4 nuts in a row here. These 3 are the same size. This one is stainless steel and it's a significantly bigger body, and I don't think it's going to fit properly. So I'm going to do it like this. And I'll... Oh, that's right. This is the stage that I was using the hammer for last week, wasn't it? Okay, I will use the hammer again. But that means I've got to go and get it. Where did I leave it? Where did I leave it? I think I put it back in my tool belt. In the Batman style tool belt. Is it? Or is it upstairs where I was doing renovations? No, it's back in the tool belt. Okay, the carpenter's belt. With nails and the tape measure and everything else. Screwdrivers, chisel, pencils. Okay. So, it is time for you gentlefolk to entertain me. Tell me a story, please. Hammers for all of your torsional adjustment needs. Yes. Wife turned up. Must greet, says Vic. Yes, absolutely must. Say hi. Wife desires tea, 5 minutes. It's going to take me more than 5 minutes to do this little task. So, I need more nerd brags. The thing is that I have been sitting on such a nerd brag for weeks and weeks, keeping it to myself, mostly. I've been keeping it to myself on streams. I have not been keeping it to myself in person. But, yeah, it's one of those... I don't know what I can say about it without revealing anything. Yes. Life changes. Life changes. It certainly does. One of those things I wish I could talk about, but there are reasons not to, so I'm not going to. There will come a time when I can. Oh, come on. What is the alignment on that? There we go. That's better. Yeah, 15mm. Very strangely, 15mm M3 bolts are very... Okay, this is going to sound strange, really weird. They are cheap because I can buy them in... So what I'm talking about is these ones here. I can buy these ones in big bags from J-Car for cheap. Very strange. And yes, I said the word. I said the J word. Yeah. So I end up with lots and lots of these 15mm Phillips head M3s, which are not as nice as the socket head, but that's the way it is. Which may actually be why Vic has... It looks remarkably similar. Could be why Vic has ended up with these as well. Alright, so... Ooh, there's a little sprue to cut there. I don't think I'll cut it just yet. I think I might need to... Alright, so this is the bit I've done. I've just put the nuts in there. I'm going backwards in time here. Going forwards in time. Back. Michael says, my best brags require security clearances most people don't have. Okay. Now I really want to know about those nerd brags. Okay. Gavin said, nerd brag, I made a notepad for students last night in the style of Forrest Mim's old Radio Shack books. Oh, nice. I used AI and learned how some things go good and others not so good. Okay. Yeah, the Forrest Mim's notebooks are classic. In fact, I'm going to pull up Forrest Mims notebooks. I'm going to pull up some images and just to give people a sense of the aesthetic. Yeah, so there are these handwritten notebooks with hand-drawn diagrams, and they are beautiful. They are a work of art. And they were published like this. Where is it? Yeah. Okay, I could go off on a whole side thing here because I did hand-drawn schematics in this style for practical Arduino, and then they all got redrawn by an artist. So the illustrations that you see in the book, all of the schematics in the book are like proper vector art done in whatever tool they used. But in order to do that, I had to create the schematics in the first place for them to copy. And for the most part, I did some using Eagle and then just screenshot it. That was towards the end where I started getting lazy. And also once it became clear that the publisher did not want to use my hand illustrated ones, but originally, where's the, what? Come on, show us the internal one. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Yeah, so I did hand-drawn schematics in this style. And yeah, inspired by Forrest Mims and others. So the way I prefer to do it is to, so I like, yeah, the way this is printed with the very strong grid, that grid is too strong. It's overpowering. It's visual noise for the schematic. So you see all of these lines. The way I like to do it is to have a really faint grid so you can just barely see it. And as you're hand drawing, you can see the grid enough that you can follow it, but it doesn't visually overwhelm the actual nets that you're drawing. And the end result looks really cool. And the way I did it for practical Arduino is that I printed a grid that was very strong, and then I did it like a lightbox style. So I had the grid and then a blank piece of paper on top, and I drew the schematic by being able to see the grid through the paper. And then when you take it off, you have the effect of it being hand drawn, but all straight. Everything is perfect. Like it all matches on the grid, but there's no grid. So yeah, I really like that style. Okay, Stephen says, Nerdbrag put up my first mesh core repeater last week. Built them from modules in an IP68 box, solar powered, can run for a week without sun. More planned soon. That's interesting. Mesh core. Interesting. Yes. I wish to dive more into that rabbit hole, but I'm going to resist that urge. In the
Chuck Norrison.
In the spirit of wanting to get on with actually assembling RepRapMicron. Mark Laguda said, Nerdbrag this week had SIG Energy home battery installed, looking at integration with Home Assistant. That is cool. Very nice. Yep. Oh, Grant says, nothing wrong with supporting JCar when it makes sense. One day you will need something in a hurry, and if JCar goes under, it might get hard to find. Yeah, that's right. I would rather them be in business than not be in business, is the summary. And there were many good years with them. They did really great things for Freetronics. The success of Freetronics was largely driven by JCar and its uptake of it. Without it, Freetronics would not have had the run it did. So it ended badly, but there were many good things along the way. And I hope they continue in business. I just didn't like the way, the way they treated me. Okay, so Yeah, Stephen George says John Cad. Yeah, it's like Dave Cad. Dave Cad is yellow post-it notes. Grant says pale blue grid is okay. Yes, if you're doing coloured print, something like a pale coloured grid is good. Simon says, I buy all my hardware from Bolt & Nut, and if I really need a size I don't have in a hurry, I grab a couple from the drawers in the office workshop. Oh, Grant says, I also have parts for a mesh core repeater. Chris said, I'm still working out what use mesh core is after 3 weeks of having a repeater up and running. Stephen says, mesh core. Most of Melbourne is covered with repeaters. Network goes from Tassie up to New South Wales already. Nice. Okay. That's cool. Vic says, T-Made needed something to wash away gunpowder fumes. Yeah. Yes. The smell of gunpowder in the morning. Oh, Paul. Okay, this is something that has repeatedly come across my radar recently. A little while ago, I think I showed this on a stream, I came across a 1D game based on an RGB LED strip with a button. It was like a shooter game. Oh, no, it was 3 buttons, RGB. And since then, I've seen several different implementations of 1D games. And so Paul here said, Nerdbrag, got 1D Flappy Bird working on Arduino and ESP32 from downloaded code. Will be used at a community event. Yes, exactly. I want to build more things. I want more projects that can be used at barbecues. Because when people turn up, the way I envisage this, like the picture that I have in my mind, is people turning up to barbecues and it being like an interactive museum type thing where there are all these different things that people can play with, like self-balancing cubes and 1D games and I don't know, or whatever. We should build things. We have the skills. We should build stuff that people can play with, like casual games, like 1D games. Yeah. So, Vic says barbecue remote flamethrower. Yeah, yeah. There can be viral bait things.
You have to do all these new ideas.
Yeah, I know, Amanda. That's the thing. That's the thing. With what time? All right. I need to keep these nerd breaks coming. I will return to the chat, but in the meantime, I want to do something like this. Okay. So we need nuts inserted into the platform. And I think the subsequent thing is these 4. So these look like 15mm as well. And then is this a snippy snip on a little cross piece? That cross piece does not exist on here. On here. I wonder if that is... Did it not get generated in the render? Did it get removed by the slicer, by Bamboo Slicer? I don't know. The platform screws are just to hold the nuts in. Okay. Yes. That's all they're for. It's just to stop them from falling back out again. Alrighty. Now, okay, so a question for Vic. This is the photo dump that you did for the documentation. Is the documentation anywhere yet? Original Hello World. Yeah, so that looks cool. Sorry, I'm being distracted by. Oh, that's all right. No, says Vic. Yeah, that's fine. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So I am just going to follow. Oh, I've already opened it. Where is it? We're up to about here. So I need to shove in nuts into the little platform and then just put bolts in to hold them in place and stop them falling out. Okay. This I am unsure about. I don't know what this looks like. is a single extrusion sprue that goes between this moving part and the side part, maybe as a little bit of a support or something, and that doesn't exist on my print. So maybe that is something that I just don't need to do. Okay, and then we screw it down onto the base. Yeah, don't worry about the little bit, says Vic. Okay, so then we screw it down onto the base using the nuts that we've already put in, and then we start doing complicated stuff. Okay, let's come back a couple of steps. I need to put nuts into here, and then put a couple of bolts in just to stop them falling out. Let's give that part a shot. So I'm going to, I can see that there are little bits of stuff in there. All right, I'm going to push this. Hopefully I'm not going to break anything here. I'm a little bit worried about this. This is sitting without the base. All of the bottom of this is flush, which means if I put this on the bench and push down, it should not damage this central point because it should be supported on the bench, I believe. But by pushing it down, so if I try to move it now, it's kind of stable because it's sitting on the bench surface. So if I want to remove the little built-up bits of stuff that are inside here, if I push down, it should immobilize it and prevent the flexures from being damaged by forces in directions they should not be experiencing. So I'm just going to make sure that there aren't little daggy bits hanging around inside here before I put the nuts in. Yes. Do these nuts later have bolts going into them, or are they for magnets, or I don't know. We shall see. Okay. Just cleaning up a little bit. Hopefully it's clean enough. And it looks like these nuts go in at quite a diagonal. So, yeah, the pocket, if we're looking at it aligned like this, the pocket for this one comes up in this direction. So it comes in at that angle, and this one comes in at that angle. So I've got to put the nut in right over here, and then it slides towards the right, maybe. Okay, I'm going to push down to immobilize the center platform because I do not want to strain those flexures. Feels like there's a bit of rubbish in there still. Okay, time to look sideways. Woo, this is the bit that worries me, putting it up like this, looking down into the slot. I've got to try to clean this up without stressing the flexure. And this one, while I'm on this side, because it's quite an overhang, there are some little daggy bits inside there that can stop the nut from going into place. This is one of those things where the dream of disposable supports. Disposable? I mean, dissolvable. Yeah, vocabulary mix up. Disposable and dissolvable supports would be good because you could print with supports inside that little cavity and then dissolve them out somehow. Soluble supports. I've never used soluble supports. I've never even heard of anyone using them. I've seen them discussed, I've seen them referenced, never had any experience with them, either first or second hand. So I don't know if they're any good at all. I get the feeling that it's one of those things that seems like a brilliant solution, and in practice it's not that good. Maybe it just needs too much cleanup or something. One of those things that seems like it should solve a problem, and the solution is worse than the problem. Okay, next attempt. So I'm going to try, what am I going to use? I'm going to try some of these fancy Lindstrom pliers. But I've got to do it at an angle. Ugh, that is taking a lot of force. Oof, and it snapped into place. Aha, we got one. All right, next one. Oh, I could really do with more of that coffee. I'm going to take a little, okay, immobilize the center, snap it in, come on. Oh, that is a scary amount of force that I'm applying. I do not want to break this. Get the angle right. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Let's try with a couple more. Yeah, I don't think those are going to fall out. Ooh, but it's also not quite. Yeah, it's like it's got to get past some obstacle to get into place. Okay, next one. Let's try this. Ooh, that one seems to have gone in. Push down, immobilize. Oh, push down, immobilize. Yeah, that one went in much more easily. I think I just hadn't cleaned out the other two pockets properly. Oh, this one's going to be tricky because of the angle with these towers getting in the way. If I turn this, you'll see that there are the towers sticking up, which are right where I want to put the handles of the pliers. So I push down to immobilize, squeeze, squeeze, come on. This one does not want to go in. All right, I'm going to try a different tactic. I'm going to clamp that. Nope. All right, what if I get another nut? No, that's not going to be so good. Can I do it against that edge? Ah, yes. I thought that was a stupid idea at first, but it actually worked. I thought I was going to damage the edge of the plastic. Okay, so now I'm just going to chuck some bolts in there just to hold them in place. Where are the 15s? 15, I need some more 15s. Yeah. Is it? Isn't it? Yes, just. If the nut isn't quite in the right place, it doesn't get the angle it needs on the thread. This one I think is a little bit off. I'm going to try to realign that. Is that enough? Yes. Okay. So now we have the 3 nuts in place. Okay. What's next? All right. Make sure nut sides are parallel to hole. Okay, says Vic. So Vic said, tried dissolvable supports once, ended up with a puddle of dissolved support constantly leaking out of the part onto the desk. Ugh. Yeah. Okay, the nuts will have bolts. They attach to the stage and level it. Yep, cool. So it's an aligned slot. Yep, the slot dimensions are for the minimum rather than the maximum diameter of the nut, so they stop the nut from rotating in use. Yep, nice. I think this is all going to work nicely, like a cunning plan. Okay, so that is in place. That we don't have to care about. All right, now we are down to using more of these 15mm thingies. Okay, I really do need to imbibe a little more. So, engaging mute. Okay. And in the meantime, hang on, where did that go? I clicked on the wrong window. Hello to Chris. Paul Schultz is here, Simon, and Mark Laguda. Yes, I said hello to, I think, all of those. Slurp, yep. Did I not mute it? I hope I muted it. Because I was chugging that coffee like I was dying of thirst. Ah, crispy and making cheese and ham toasties with chili flakes. Yes, I muted. Good. Yeah, it's just barely warm. Any mules? Any mules is worried about the temperature of my coffee. Okay. I have this. Oh, that one can be tamped down.
Silence.
The sound of silence. So, what is it? Silence like a cancer grows. Okay, I need to tamp this down. There are a couple of the nuts that didn't fully bed down. This, where is it? One of them I noticed, at least. This one I think is not fully bedded down. I don't think this is super critical, but I'm going to tap it down just to make sure. There. I could feel and hear that it hit the bottom of the hole there. This one I think might need a fraction more as well. No, it was already bottomed out. Okay, must have just been that one that wasn't bottomed out. So now the main peaker body can be attached to the supporting base. Now from this point on, I'm going to need to be much more careful. Ooh, I need to clean this up. Yeah, I'm going to need to be much more careful with this, because at the moment, if I put this down on the bench, the center platform is supported by the bench. I can hit that and it's not a problem, as long as it's fixed in place. But once this is up on this center mechanism is going to be free floating on these flexures, and I do not want them to break. So I'm going to have to be very careful. Now, when this was printed, there is a little bit of an overhang right here as a clearance for this lever arm to come through, and it needs a little bit of cleaning up. So I'm just going to trim this with a scalpel and cut myself on a live stream, because that's what everybody is here for. See, cutting towards myself. Whenever I see people cutting towards themselves, it makes me feel nauseous. I have this phobia about knives. I really, really do not like watching other people cutting stuff. It just freaks me out. Particularly if they are cutting things in a way that I can see that if there is a slip, it is going to, like if you are cutting towards any part of your body, yes, I start having a mild panic attack. Okay. Let's put this down and that down. Okay, so now I see the wiseness, that's a word, right, of Vic in putting the nuts on the bottom and not screwing up from the bottom towards the nuts. So screwing up from the bottom means that the length of the bolt doesn't really matter. As long as it reaches the nut, it'll be fine. But to do that, you would have to pick up the whole assembly and be screwing it in from underneath. When it's like this, we can have this sitting on the bench. It's all nicely supported and everything should be good. All right, I need myself a little Phillips head, and we'll see if this is reaching through to the nut. And it is, only just. I think something like a 16mm bolt would be ideal here. I'm going to do some at diagonally opposite edges, and I'm not bedding these down. I'm just dropping them in and getting the threads to engage so that there is still some movement and it doesn't skew in a way that prevents me getting subsequent nuts in. Yeah, it looks like there are quite a few more captive nuts that I need to put into different parts of this picker main frame. Things that I probably should have done before getting to this stage. Drop that one in, and that one in. But hopefully I can do it in a way that does not distress the structure. Okay, so now I am bedding these bolts down. Now that we've got them all in place. And the two halves of the frame we know are aligned. Did I just do this one? Yes, I did. Did I do this one? Not yet. Okay. All right. So now we have, and that one? Yes. So now we have the main pica assembly attached to the base. And you can see that there is this cavity underneath, which means that when it's sitting on these corners, so these corners are effectively its little feet, the central assembly is free to move in 2 dimensions. We can move it that way. We can move it that way. And in theory, it should be staying incredibly flat, not deflecting in any other axis. Okay. Looks kind of like a thing. Looks almost like the way Vic intended for it to look. Okay, so now, now it suddenly gets really complicated. We have axes to assemble. Yeah, Tinker. Hang on, I'm going to see if Tinkers is going to say it. Blocked bad word detected. Say it. Say it. Nope. I'm trying to get TTS to say it. It won't. Wisality. Vic says, and this, folks, is why you put the stage nuts in first. You can turn the base over on the desk and just whack on it. Yep. Okay. Yes, you stage nuts in first. Yes. Right. Often safer to move the object, not the blade. Ooh, yeah, okay. Fix blade and then move it. Yeah. So, now, what this is showing is an assembled axis driver. So what I need to do is go back to the axis driver stage. Or maybe it's, oh yeah, dropping those nuts in there, screwing that onto there. Ooh, yeah, and then that screws into there. Cool. Okay, now, one thing I am a little worried about is moving a stepper too far and having it break a flexure. So what I might do, okay, this is thinking ahead. I haven't actually got to this point yet, but what we can see here is this is one of the axis drivers with a NEMA stepper in it, and it gets attached to this pantograph sort of structure here. So when the stepper moves, it pushes on one side of the pantograph, which pushes on the other side of the pantograph at a smaller scale, and then it moves the structure. And the worry of what's going through my head is, if I come back to this view. So see this view here. We've got the M3, I believe it's a 40 millimeter, 50 millimeter, I can't quite remember. Whatever that bolt is that runs through the middle, that is driving on a nut in here to move it up and down, because the stepper shaft turns and it moves that nut, which then drives that stage, that axis. Now, when I'm setting this up, if Vic says 50, yep, cool. So when I'm setting this up and connecting the stepper to a motion controller for the very first time, the motion controller is going to be in an uncalibrated state. I really don't know what it's going to do, and I'm a little worried. I mean, I can put a lot of care and attention into it. I can make sure that things like the the steps per millimeter calibration and those sorts of things are in a sensible values before I move anything. I'm just worried about runaway movement. Like say I set the 0 point and then I do whatever the axis is, and you do like a G0 X 2, for example, to tell it to move 2 millimeters on the x-axis, and that 2 millimeters is not translated correctly into steps, and all of a sudden it tries to move 20 millimeters, and bang, you've just exceeded the movement limits on the axis and broken the. And yeah, I am thinking ahead to ways that I can screw this up, and there are many ways I can screw this up. So what I would really like to do, what this comes back to, is what I would really like to do is be able to turn the steppers without them engaged with the mechanism. Yeah. And I might do that. In fact, I think I will do that. Once I get to this point, what I'm going to do is assemble it with the steppers in place and connected, because they kind of need to be. And then when I first start setting up the motion controller, I'm going to connect different steppers to it, just ones that are sitting on the bench, and make sure that when I send it a command, it turns a certain sensible number of revolutions. Or Vix, there's plenty of time to turn off the PSU or hit Halt. Yeah, okay. Yeah, perhaps I am overthinking my my fears. All right, so I need to get back to. I want to keep that page open because I want to get back to more of these pictures in a minute. Somewhere here. We'll touch the probe on 4 corners of the square. Oh, this is funny. Every now and then I just do a double take at the scale of the things that we are talking about here. So leveling, okay. Where is it? Here, where there was a thing here. Yeah, look at this. Look at this.
At John Dashwib said, what could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? All right, now when you're doing bed leveling, the common thing is, yeah, let's level like the corners of the bed so that we can see what rotation or distortion or whatever is being applied to it. And Vic has got this thing that touches the probe on 4 corners of a 1 millimeter square. Okay. A turn on a leveling screw equates to about 8 microns at that scale, so setup is humanly possible. Yeah. Yeah, we're doing bed leveling across a 1 millimeter square. It's so crazy. Yeah. Using a hypodermic needle probe. Yep. Okay. Now, what I need to do, what this comes back to, I am at the stage where I need to get these here stage drivers. Wait, that's not what I wanted. I wanted that so that I can then do that. Yeah, these here axis drivers ready to go. And right now they are not. So I'm going to put aside the picker and pull back out the axis drivers that I have here. Now, rubber bands, I have a whole bag of rubber bands up on there, up on the shelves. So hopefully they will do. Now there are particular bands that Vic was using. I think they were like dental bands or something. and I do not have those. Hopefully the bands that I have will be suitable. We shall see. Yeah, so that looks so cool with the mechanism off the side. This is the Princess Leia hairstyle. Yeah, with the things on the side. That axis driver is doing the Princess Leia. That's the Z-axis driver. It's got those flexure assemblies on the side there. All right. Oh, Vic says, if you can get that flexible silly string, it's better than silicon bands, but I can't find it locally. Okay. Loom bands. Ah, yes. Michael says, why am I suddenly getting Meccano vibes? Because this is Metricano. There is a 10mm grid here. Yeah, loom bands, says Paul. Yes, I should be able to get loom bands. My daughter used to have a whole lot of loom bands, but they would be many years gone now. So, yeah, and I've got no idea how long they last. Like, do they deteriorate? Do they fall apart like rubber bands? Are they made? I doubt loom bands are made of silicon. Maybe they are. So, yeah, I just don't know what their life expectancy is. So I need to get myself a new packet of loom bands. Grant says, I bought 600 loom bands for $2.60. I also have 45-year-old orthodontic bands which have yet to perish. Yeah, loom bands. Okay, so Vic says my haul of loom bands is about 12 years old. Yeah, they do seem to be good quality. They're not like cheap rubber bands that you buy from a stationery store that if you leave them for a couple of years they turn to dust. They just go hard and then crumble. Loom bands do seem to be good. Okay, so enough talking. I need to get back to putting stuff together. Now, what do I need? I need 50mm. Okay, so sadly, this is where my I'm possibly going to need to do a very nasty thing here. I have 50mm M3 bolts, which would be perfect, except the thread only goes down to there. It's like probably 25mm of thread. It looks like it's slightly less than 25. The thread is just on the end, and then it's 25. So the thread is on that part of it, and this back part is just a shaft. There's no thread, which means that I can't use this as the axis driver because the nut needs to travel in that middle part of the bolt. So my M3 bolts are useless. I'm pretty sure I didn't know that. When I ordered these M3 bolts, I thought I was just getting regular M3 50mm bolts and didn't realize that they were only a partial thread. Now, I have ordered, oh yeah, these ones are 40mm M3 bolts, which are full thread, but they are not long enough. Now, I have ordered M3 50mm bolts. In fact, and they are in Australia. They just have not arrived yet. I'm going to have a look at my AliExpress order history. Free gift? No, get out of there. No, stop that. Register. Oh, come on. Get out of my way. Pop-ups. Hate pop-ups. Okay. Got to sign into AliExpress. Why do I have to sign in? My orders, and what's that one? That's 8mm. This was a whole combination. Let's see what was in this order. Order details. Order details. Okay, I had 14, 20, 16, 12, 10, 6, 5, 20, 18. Hang on. Why didn't I order 50s? I ordered a whole lot of other sizes of M3. I mean, you can't see what I'm looking at here because I've got my AliExpress order screen open and it's got all sorts of personally identifiable information here. So I am not going to show it to you. Did I not order? I don't think I ordered 50mm in all of the ones I ordered. Okay, what that decides then is I have to go for a really nasty alternative plan. Oh, did you try micro fasteners in Thomastown? Asked Gavin. No, I did not know micro fasteners in Thomastown existed. And also, I never even... My experience of Australian suppliers in general for things like bolts has been terrible. There are various places really close to me. So where I am in Bayswater, I am surrounded by suppliers of industrial parts. Anything you want, anything mechanical, pneumatic, hydraulic, optical, like electrical, plastic. It is all here. All the tools, all of the materials, all of the spare parts is within a few kilometres of me. I could walk to just about anything that I need. The problem is I have been totally spoiled. Sorry, it looks like I'm sticking... This is such a weird pose. It looks like I'm just holding my arm up randomly. It is resting quite comfortably on the big box of drawers, which is just slightly off camera. Where does the camera end? Right there. Okay. Yeah, it is a couple of centimeters out of your field of view. Is what I'm resting my arm on. So this is not as weird and random as it looks. So for the 50mm stainless all thread, can get them this week if you want. Oh, Vic says hand cut thread is probably not the most accurate unless you have a die jig. What I have, oh yeah, Bayswater bolts. I've been there. Yeah. Okay. So I do have a plan. I have M3 threaded rod. So that's my plan B, is to use M3 threaded rod and just make my own. Make my own. Plated or plain steel is better. Yeah, try not to get stainless. The M3 threaded rod that I have is plain steel, I think. And I can Dremel that off to whatever length I want and attach a nut at one end and Loctite it in place and make my own bolt of an arbitrary length. So that is my plan at the moment. But just to configure this, oh, Grant has a very generous offer. Grant said, I can drop off some loom bands, 316 wire, and M50 screws on Tuesday if it helps. Wow, that is a very, very generous offer. Yeah. I am so tempted to say yes, please. 316 wire. Okay, so and M3 loom bands. The thing is that I can source all of these things myself, and I don't want to put you out, Grant. Like the idea of you making a trip to drop off things that I can get myself, it does not feel right. It feels like it's taking advantage, and I don't want to take advantage. I really appreciate the offer. It is very generous. But for now, I'm going to say no. Two things. I have to try to remember two whole things in my brain at the same time. One of those things, and now I've forgotten what both of them are. One of those things, that's right, is finishing the story about what spoiled me. The problem is, I do something like go into Bayswater bolts and I say, so I've had this experience several times. There's Bayswater bolts and there are a couple of others around here that I've been to. And I walk in and I ask for something that to me seems absolute, it seems like bread and butter. Like the most common thing. I have had an experience where I walked into one of those places and said, oh, I need some M3 10mm cap head bolts. And they look at me like, what's that? What the hell is, what do you mean a 10mm M3 bolt? And like, cap head? And this is a bolt specialist. Something like an M3 10mm cap head bolt should be as common as sand. It should be, they should have like 44-gallon drums of them out the back, and they scoop them up with a big thing and pour them into a bag for you and say, here you go, here's half a kilo of bolts. And they ended up having to go on an exercise to find what it was, like look it up. They went, oh, I'll look that up, and look it up on the computer. Oh yeah, I think maybe we have some of those. Let me go find. And then, ooh, Vic is checking things for me. Thank you. I'm going to finish this story though. And then they say, okay, how many would you like? And yeah, so then they start counting them out. It's like, I only need like 20 or something. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, okay, here are your 20 bolts. That will be $37, please. Like, what? Yeah. So basically that has been my experience of going to Australian parts suppliers, like the local ones where you walk in and buy stuff over the counter, as opposed to go on AliExpress and say, I would like 500 M3 10mm cap head bolts. Sure, that'll be $10, free shipping. Okay. Yeah. So the thing is that I've had enough of those experiences where it's built into my mind that I don't even see them as an option. They're literally like hundreds of meters away from me. There are multiple bolt suppliers. And yet I will sit here and type in an order and wait 2 weeks for something to arrive from China instead of walking 300 meters to a bolt shop because they're crap. Anyway. Yeah. Gavin says, I'm on the wrong side of town. Maybe. Maybe. All right. I'm gonna suck down some more of this. Better. Better. Okay. Oh. Nap time. No, not nap time yet. So, yeah, socket head cap screws. Yeah. Okay, so 2 things for Vic. The first is, Vic says, just checked a random M3 lock nut on my bench, fits nicely on the end of a bit of M3 rod and in the coupling. Cool. Yeah, that's the sort of thing that I'm hoping for. So I stick on a lock nut or an actual nut, and I can put on some of the UV cured, like the nail polish glue stuff. I've got, I also have thread locker, and yeah, so I'm pretty sure that I can firmly attach a nut onto the threaded rod. So I can cut the threaded rod to 50 millimeters and attach a nut on the end. And I think that's going to be my solution. The other question for Vic, because when I brought this up last week, Vic, or whenever it was, must have been last week, I don't think you were here, and I have 0.04 and 0.08 millimeter wire. Where did it go? Where did it go? I had it, yeah, I had it out, and I measured it it's pushing the limit of what my calipers can measure. So it measured, the two bits of wire measured, they're stainless steel wire supposedly, measured at 0.1 millimeter and 0.05 millimeter instead of 0.08 and 0.04. And I think that's just because it is, yeah, down in the resolution of my calipers. Where did they go? I had them, maybe I threw them into the RepRapMicron box. And even though that is, no, sorry, not 0.8 and 0.4, 0.08 and 0.04. And it read as 0.01 and 0.005 millimeters, something like that. No, it's not in the RepRapMicron box. I had it here. Anyway, it's around, and I don't know. Yeah, Vic says that was my worry. The very fine wire will twang too much. Yes, so it's unsupported for some distance from the point of the main structure, and the tip is some distance away from it. So if it's super fine, the whole thing will move. So it needs to be thicker and then come down to a fine point so that it has rigidity. Yeah. Yes. Pull some stainless out of the electric fence. Yeah. Oh, Imi said, I went to so many places to find a flat 19 millimeter rubber washer for my tap. Same deal. They just had no idea what I was asking for, Bunnings included. I even took the washer that needed replacing with me. Oh, yeah, okay. That's frustrating, Imi. Yeah. There are two benefits to going to, well, three benefits really, to going to a local supplier, somewhere that you walk in. One, you can have it right now if they have it in stock. Two, you can browse and see things physically before making a purchase. And three, having someone to talk to about your selection. And the problem is that a lot of retailers just work on the basis of the first two. You're paying for the convenience of being able to walk in and buy, and for being able to look at the stuff on the shelf and say, that one, with it, and actually be able to see it with your own eyes. But they totally miss out on the expertise side of it. They figure that they will just hire inexperienced people because they are cheap, and they don't invest in staff development and training. They're not staffed by people who are obsessive about the subject. They're just there to sell stuff, which is frustrating. Oh, Vic says also shipping to NZ is not inexpensive. Yeah. Grant asked a question. What is the issue with stainless threaded rod? I seem to have stainless, brass and black steel, so it is not an issue, just interested. I think the issue is in relation to friction, isn't it? Is it friction or is it the dimensions? Yeah. Vic says stainless steel does something called galling, where it locks itself in place. Yep. Yes, brass is better. Yeah, brass against steel. So if you have two dissimilar metals, and you see the same thing in bearings as well, like bearing surfaces. If you have...
It is part of the enshottification process.
Yeah, that's right. If you have two like metals and they are under pressure in contact with each other, they can end up bonding together. But if you have two different metals, they don't do it as much. And so if you have something like brass and steel in contact with each other, they don't do the galling thing where they become bonded, become attached. And since the nuts are stainless steel, typically, Yeah, Vic says we have to use dissimilar metals in satellites because things just vacuum weld themselves. Yeah, they get stuck. So the nuts that we are using for this sort of thing are typically stainless steel. So if we do stainless steel nuts onto stainless steel bolts, they can gall together. Right. All right. Now, what am I looking for? That's right. I think the next thing I need to do is go and grab the M3 threaded rod and measure off some 50mm lengths and cut it. What I'm trying to decide is whether I am going to be brutal, oh, excuse me, and just cut it with a pair of pliers, or if I'm going to get out the Dremel and try to do a nice cut. Kevin said, equipotential bonding for 5 points, have one shot for those playing along. Okay. Tinker says, stainless galling is more of an issue caused by the material itself, shedding surface molecules due to friction. Okay, and Vic says there's plenty of headroom so you can cut over length, no problemo. Excellent. All right, so what I might do is cut off like 60mm lengths of the threaded rod, and then I can clean the ends up, maybe lose a little bit on the ends, and it won't matter. They'll end up being like in the 55, 56mm length range, which is slightly over. The reason I'm sitting here doing nothing is I'm thinking through what I need to do. All right, I'm going to need to do some things where I get stuff out of the back. I need to get the Dremel, which will be fully charged. I've got to get the cutting disc. Maybe what I should do is keep talking while I actually do those things. So, you are not going to be able to come along with me on this journey of discovery. What would be really cool, I've thought of this many times, and I've even mentioned it many times. What would be really cool is having many more cameras through the workshop area, out in the mechanical workshop area that unless you've been to the barbecue, you probably haven't even seen it. So many cameras out there, different, like over the mechanical workbench, just general room cameras, more cameras in the cleanish room, and have an HDMI capture system, or maybe not HDMI, maybe use IP cameras that allows me to, Vic said, could I get a camera feed to you? Maybe, hopefully. That would allow me to do things like just work in different parts of the workshop and still stream from wherever I'm working. So just walk to different places. Could you put up a test pattern while you're out of view? No! Stream the CCTV, says Henrik. Yeah, it kind of works and kind of doesn't.
CCTV RN.
Yeah, automatic cell hopping camera system. Yeah, Stephen. John thought he might have gone too far when he put the camera in the loo. Yeah, definitely too far with that thought. All right, I'm just going to walk and start grabbing stuff. I'm going to have to walk a fair way back, actually. I may even lose audio. I don't know if I will. So I'm going to do that first. You can probably hear me fine now, but I'm going to be really pushing the limit. I may well. Now, I am a long way back down the factory, and now coming back forward, and you can tell me when I come back. So now I need the Dremel, which means that. I need this, which has got the cutting disc in it, and Dremel's got its battery in it already. Phone cam. I just heard TTS going from the other room. I need that. Ideally, I need a pair of cutters. These ones will do. I think this is it. Maybe. Yeah, I think this will be enough if I don't actually cut the threaded rod with the Dremel. I just need to clean it up. I think I've got all the bits I need. And I better check whether, yes, Dremel battery is good. It made the collet fall off. I ran it without anything actually in it. So, it's time we got mechanical. All right, switching to this view.
Your face hadn't looked that good in years.
My face has never looked good. Okay. Ooh, I have the microscope. That is one of the microscopes that is required for the Micron. I'm going to move that over there. And this is M3 threaded rod. A long, long piece of it. Just checking that it really is M3 and that the thread is correct. Yep, nut goes on. So now what I need to do is cut off some lengths of this and adhere nuts. And I need 3 thereof. Here we go. Let's mark it off. That pen will do. I'm going to mark it off just a little bit under 60 millimeters. So there, a little bit under 60. There, this gives me plenty of leeway. And we need 3 of them. A little bit under 60. So now I can just cut those, do it the brutal way with these, and then trim the ends, clean up the ends with the
Hi
Dremel.
Siri, what's the weather today?
Come on. I am weak. Weak. There we go. Try one more. That's it. 3 lengths of they're about 57, 58 millimeters each. But the ends are going to be a bit of a mess because I just did the brutal cutting method. In fact, I'm going to see, can I get a nut onto it? Yeah,
Is your city turned
not very
off?
well. Is my what turned off? Is my, oh, Siri, yeah, I don't have it. I do not have Siri enabled at all. From the moment that Apple released Siri, when the very first time that it came up with the option of, do you want to enable Siri, yes or no? I said no. And it has, I've just never used it. I think I might have turned it on once or twice just to see what it did and then turned it off again. But Siri has not been in my world. It's one of those things I have no experience with. Ooh, it's a cutting disc, not a grinding disc. Is you like cutting this side up, plastic, that's a plastic cutting disc, that's a metal cutting disc. These little ones are off-cut discs. I'm going to use up one of these. This is going to be loud, you know. I'm going to have to, and also this is not what these are intended for. These are cutting discs, not grinding discs, and I really should be using a grinding disc for this, which I believe I do have. Yeah, so this may well end up with, it may end up very badly. And it's also going to be extremely loud, so I think I'm going to hit mute on the mic before I do this. Will I, won't I? Yes, I'm going to mute. All right, what I'm going to do is mute, and then I'm going to just clean up the edges of these on the Dremel, and then start yelling at you again. Here we go. And we're back. All right, did you miss me? I hope so. Let's see if I can get the nuts on now. Probably not still. Oh yeah, that one went on quite nicely once I got the angle sorted. Yeah, that works nicely. All right, I might as well test the others as well, just to make sure I don't have any burrs left on them. Yeah, 4 out of 4 passed so far. And 5 out of 5. This will be the last one. There we go. 6 out of 6 ends work nicely. So now I need M3 lock nuts. Do I have M3 lock nuts? I've got, this is my little collection of nuts. These are regular nuts. These are oddball ones, which includes plastic nuts. These ones are plastic, and square head. So these are a weird M3 nut with a square head, not a hexagon head. These ones are M3 T-slot nuts. So they've got a very strange shape to them. Not that you can see properly on the camera because it's zoomed right out. But I don't think I have any M3 lock nuts. So what I'm going to do is use, okay, before I do that, before I select which nuts I'm using, I'm going to get out the couplings and see what is a good fit. Oh, that's not even that box. It's in this box over here. I have multiple boxes of RepRap stuff now. RepRapMicron. All right, this is part of a stage that we were working on previously. And I want to see which style of nut. I've got that one, I've got that one, which has a slightly bigger body. I'm going to try the slightly bigger bodied one and see if that goes into here nicely. Yeah, I don't think this one is going to fit. I've been using the smaller ones. I've been using this style. So I'm actually wondering whether what I should do is put 2 nuts on this, because the pocket that goes into this coupling is quite deep. All right, Vic, how is this for an idea? I don't know if this is a stupid idea or not. How about I get 2 of these nuts and I tap them down into the coupling, and then I put thread locker in and screw this into it, and the thread locker can dry, and then I can put UV cured glue around the edge. So it'll probably end up being quite a strong bond. The pocket is tapered, says Vic. Okay. All right. All right, I'm just looking back through chat. We won't be able to hear the scream when he slices a finger off. Okay, so Tinker says, now fire up the TIG to attach the nuts. A TIG might heat warp the bolt. Historically, all nuts had square heads. Oh, okay. Only if you know good with TIG, right? Now you want 5.5mm nuts, okay. Zero experience with TIG. Yep, I have done some TIG, but I am not at all an expert with it. So, where did I put the calipers? 5.5mm nuts, says Vic. So these ones are reading 5.38. This one is reading 5.92. Yeah, so the bigger ones don't fit. Now, this is my theory. What if I get 2 of these nuts, because the pocket in here is deep, I get 2 of these nuts, tap them in one at a time so that they're stacked on top of each other, thread locker, screw in the threaded rod. I think that'll end up with a very strong bond in there. That is my theory. Okay. Sorry, I had a cough come on quickly. All right, I'm going. So I've got two options. I can either. Oh, I've got another cough. Didn't properly do it. Ah, there we go. I can either attempt to adhere the nut to the threaded rod first and then stick it in, or I can put the nuts in first and then put the threaded rod in, and that is what I'm leaning towards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, tippy tap it onto that. Look at this, I've got a hammer nearby, but I'm going to use that. Oh no, maybe only one. Vic said it's tapered and it is quite tight getting it in there, so I think maybe only one nut is the solution. Also, I should have done this before attaching this to the other part. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go for the actual hammer. Put that into there and tap it down. It's going in at quite an angle. There, now it's straighter. That's better. I think that's acceptable. Yes, all right.
So Tinker001 said, could use your cutters to deform the last couple threads on the rod, then force the nut into place.
Yes, that's true. I could do that, but I think it's going to be sufficient if I... Now, where is the thread locker? Normally, I have it on the shelf just up above me here. Because what I want to do is put thread locker in and then use the UV cured stuff on the outside as well. But I want to get the thread locker in first. Where is it? It's not there. It's not an usual spot. I was previously using it over here on this other bench, but I thought that I had put it away since then. Maybe I have not. I can't see it over here either. Maybe some super glue would do. Stick in some super glue. Oh, excuse me. Is it here? There is normally a little thing of thread locker on my bench in reach. It should be right there, just up there, but it's not. Okay, Plana Bia is super glue and then UV cured glue. So a bit of super glue. So there is now super glue in the hole. Screw that down. It's not going in very far. Why not? Oh, okay. It was going in. All right, I'm gonna... It was bottoming out and then it pushed the nut out. All right, push that back in. Seam straight. And straighten that axis. And then the glue needs to set for a while. Bend that way. Yeah, I'm bollocksing this up. I'm sure I'm bollocksing it up. I wonder how, like if I get this under the camera, pointing straight at it, you can just see it. If I have it, yeah, the camera itself is not on a perfect vertical, so you can see the side of the rod. So that seems straight that way, All right, I'm just gonna let it sit like that for a little bit. Now, maybe I'll breathe on it. I need some curing stuff for super glue. breathe on it a bit, get a bit of humidity on it.
Power up the motor to check that will run out before the glue dries.
That is actually a good idea, but that means connecting this up to a controller, and I don't have one ready to go. But you're right, that would be a very good idea. In fact, what would be a good idea would be to have a structure that goes over this, like the actual structure that's meant to go over it, and check it against that. Okay. Also, it's very handy to be able to take that threaded rod out occasionally. Ooh, well, I think I've just screwed that up. You can't get that threaded rod centered, which is why the connection needs to have some flex in it. Yeah. You don't want a solid join into the coupling, says Vic. Okay. Yes. Yeah. There is some flex in the coupling as well. Time for a safe word to get for the TTS to get John's attention. I fully expect that I'm going to have multiple runs at this. So this could be where it is beneficial to be using a proper 50mm bolt instead of this bodged version that I've got here. Okay. So, ooh, I can do run out by turning it manually, and I can see that it is actually moving. It is not square, so I can adjust slightly. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little bit of run out. When I say a little bit, I mean like a millimeter. It's not a little bit, it's a lot. Ooh, that got better. It's a
Safe word could be squirrel.
very small amount of run out now. Need to blueprint it. Okay, so that is, yeah. There is movement in this coupling as well. Like if I hold everything else still and I move the coupling, you can see that the end of the rod moves significantly. And the coupling does have that little spiral structure underneath it to help that happen. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. It'll do for now. What I'm going to do is, where did I put it? Somewhere around here. I have the UV cured stuff. Yes, I'm going to do this just for the fun of it. I've probably already screwed up this coupling enough that, so I've got this hair nail gel, UV gel kit, but this is white, it's not clear. I was trying to get clear and couldn't. So what I'm going to do is put some UV cured gel around here. I actually didn't get this for this project. Oh, super chat! Who was it? DIY? Thank you, DIY. Yeah, I got this, no, don't spill. This UV cured nail polish for, sorry, I'm doing and thinking at the same time, which is not a good thing. So this is the structure where you put the polish on your nails, you stick it inside here, you press the button, it turns a UV LED on for 30 seconds and it cures the nail polish. But luckily, this structure is magnetic. It snaps apart. So this bottom part is just a plastic molding with this reflected thing in it, and that is the UV LED in the top part. So what we can do is just disconnect it, and it's just got a USB-C cable on it, and put it over there, turn it on, and it shows up very brightly on camera. It actually shows up quite a lot of white light as well. So I'm not staring into it, I'm only looking at the reflections. I press the button, so after a total of 30 seconds it should turn off. And hopefully it'll have done a half decent job of curing this. So I'm going to end up, in this case, what I'm going to do is end up with the threaded rod bonded into the plastic coupling. And that is probably a mistake, but... Ooh, who was that? Henrik! Thank you, Henrik. Thanks DIY and Henrik, I appreciate it. Super chat, so cool. Yeah, Vic said, yeah, probably. I probably have stuffed it up. I'm probably going to have to redo this. I expect that a lot of this is going to need... I'm not going to get this perfect the first time. And this is kind of a try to make it work with what I've got situation, and then I will later. All right, let's see if it's cured. Feels hard. Not totally hard, not totally. It's shelled up. I put a reasonably thick little fillet into the corner there. I'm going to give it a little bit more time. Yeah, so I need to get proper 50mm bolts, and then I'll just print new couplings and reassemble these. And yes, that means I'll probably have to pull the axis drivers apart again to do this. But hopefully this will get me to the point where I can run the axes and just verify the overall operation. Vic says, I most certainly did not get it right the first time either. Yeah, but I'm... yeah, but you're the one that's inventing it. You're designing it. So getting it right for you is a matter of coming up with the right design. For me, it's just a matter of copying what you've already done. So my ability to copy is less than your ability to innovate. All right. That's enough. Seems hard. It seems quite well bonded now onto that threaded coupling. Okay, so where are we at with
It wants a tiny little CV joint, like a front wheel drive auto drive shaft.
Yeah, like, come on, where are they? They were here, they were right here. These, like these. There's a little flexible coupling. In fact, I think this is an M3 flexible coupling. It is. So that is a little, it's for solving this exact problem. It's just that physically it's too big. So one option would be that I could put one of these couplings onto the front of the motor, and then the M3 threaded rod goes into this and just gets clamped in place. In fact, the ideal would be one of these little couplings that is M3 on one side and 5 on the other, 5mm, to go onto the 5mm shaft of the stepper. That would take the place of this, and I could use that with threaded rod. But I do not have one that is 5mm on one side and 3 on the other. This could be drilled out though. Okay, I'm having evil thoughts. Evil thoughts about drilling out one side to 5mm to fit it onto the motor shaft. So that is a possible solution. All right, my goal for now. What? It's already 12. What? What? Pete? Lunchtime? Yeah. Oh, Vic says compliant. Yep. That yellow coupling has a lot of compliant flexures inside. Yes. Which is, I was kind of worried about smacking down onto the top of it, but oh well, YOLO. Right. Now I need to finish assembling this axis driver. That goop on the thread may also present issues, so we're scratching the thread with a scalpel to get it off. Yeah, the goop on the thread is just right down the bottom. The axis driver just moves in the middle, doesn't it? How far does it have to move? Does it need to go all the way down to here? I guess I'm going to learn that sort of thing, aren't I? Right, what was I doing? Okay. Back to here. And... oh, I guess down to 9mm-ish. Okay, 9mm. No, I think I'll be fine. The goop on the thread doesn't go 9mm up. Not even close. Yeah, it doesn't. Where are we? Here. 9mm. The goop on the thread is well under 9mm. So I won't run into the goop at the extreme of the range of motion. But it might rub on the lower bearing nut. Oh, okay. That's true. Possibly. Yeah, I can see, you're right. I can see here, like if we zoom in here, there is the lower bearing nut there that needs to go down, and it gets quite close to that coupling. So that could be an issue.
When will we get to hear the complete do do die do tune?
That's going to be a while, Crispian. Yeah, okay. So, I need to do some assembly. Which color am I doing? Green. Okay, I'm doing the green axis. So I need that, maybe that, and those. Does that seem like the stuff I need for the green axis? And there is that, of course, but that is a slightly separate thing. So, looking at the way this fits together, you can't see the picture at the moment, but if I orient it like that, then there are two pieces. There is that one that goes there, that one that goes there. So these two, I can either use it with or without this spacer, depending on the size of the bands. So this piece clips into there to give it more height so that the loom bands or whatever are used can squeeze down on it, or you can use it without it. And then this piece goes on the other side. Now, orienting to match the picture. Oops, goes that way. And then this goes here with the cantilever structure through here. So that threaded rod goes onto that nut there, like that, but I'm going to have to be very careful about that. I don't want to stress the flexure. So that ends up with a nut inside it which is drilled out as the bearing. That goes on there, and then that goes over the top there, and then they get bolts through. I am just thinking through all of this. This goes which way around? That way onto there, with bolts going through into those. Yep, okay. I think I have a vague clue of where that all goes together. So what do I need? 15mm bolts. Are they going to bottom out? How much depth do I have there? If I go for 15s, should be spot on-ish. Spot on-ish. Now there are two little grooves on here, which are for the wires to come through from the little sensing switch springy thing, which consists also of this. So that goes onto there, and then there are the little wire slots in there that you could barely see. And I just need to clean this up a little. I will do that before anything else. I'll just make sure these various holes are clean so that I'm not trying to clean them and stress the mechanism at the point where I'm putting it together. Better to have them pre-cleaned. Okay. Clean. Is that, yeah, these ones? Yeah, these ones are pretty clean. They look nice. And these ones do not look clean. It was printed on this face down. And when Bamboo Slicer chopped it, it did not include the little support duvalakis that go into the middle, the breakaway supports that Vic designed into it. It's meant to have little hexagon tubes that come up inside these, and they just were not there after I did the slicing. I think the feature was considered to be too small by the slicer, so it removed it. I could probably have made it retain them by changing some slicer settings, but this is the way it is. Okay, I should probably put nuts into a couple of these to get them ready, or into this. Do I, don't I? No, no nuts go in that one, they just go in that one. Okay. Oh, that's where the drilled out nut goes for the axis bearing, and the other drilled out nut goes in that one. So those two need drilled out nuts. This one can just be bolted on. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am just going to bolt this on for now with the little slots on the inside. I should put washers on those, shouldn't I? I really should. Washers. My little M3 washers collection. I'll find a couple of, yeah, I need more M3 washers. My selection of washers is looking quite sad. I will put these on using the 15mm M3 bolts. Going onto this. Maybe 15 isn't quite long enough. Oh, yeah, it is. It just grips into the captive nut.
Jono is a nut.
I am.
TTS failed to tell you what Vic said. Again.
Again? Why? What did Vic tell me? Let's see. Hang on, I'm just going to, before I look over there, I'm going to do this. So this needs to be adjustable, because that's how you adjust the position of the limit switch. But I'm just going to do this up sort of in a mid-ish position so that it holds this supported and keeps that rigid. Okay, now let's see what TPS is saying. Yeah, okay, so Vic said, yeah, the band stretch, so rather than disassemble, I added a bodge part. Yep. Vic says, when John reads the assembly instructions, he'll notice that I glued it in problem. So that U-shaped bit needs assembly and goes on later. Okay, cool. Yeah, it needs the wires going through with the two little cross spring things to detect this pushing against it, which is the limit switch. I think. Limit switch? Something like that. Okay. Yeah, it needs assembly and goes on later. But what I'm going to do is leave it on there as a mechanical support, because these two sides are not attached and they can move relative to each other. So I'm just using it as a brace at the moment, and that will go on there with the wire going through. In fact, what I'll do is I'm going to tap a couple of nuts into that. So I'm going to do whatever assembly preparation I can, even though it's not actually going to be assembled now. Come on. Even though it's not going to be assembled now, I'm just going to get those nuts in place so that they are ready for later when this limit switch is being assembled. Oop, dropped it. Caught it. Okay, so that's ready. That needs nothing. This needs nothing. What I really need now is the two drilled out nuts that go into these as the bearings. So that is one of the next things I need to do. To do that, I need to do it on the drill press, which is out in the area not covered by cameras. So I'm going to have to do the drill pressing part of it to make the bearings off camera and then stick them in here. The way these are designed, you definitely will not be able to see this because of the zoom of the camera, is that Vic has very cleverly designed these little cavities so that it's a hexagon, as you would expect, to fit the shape of the nut. But on 3 of the sides, it has a little lump protruding into it, which acts as a retention for the nut.
Mayor, be a man. Hand drill them.
Nah, I'm going to do them. I'm going to put, I've got like a machining vise, like a parallel jaw machining vise that bolts to the table of the drill press or a CNC machine or whatever you want to use it with. So I'm going to stick these nuts in the machining vise and then use the drill press. So 2.5mm and then 3mm drills, as Vic suggested, to get the best effect, to make the end bearings that will go through there. But I can't do that on camera. So I am going to end having achieved almost nothing. Really haven't done anything today, have I? Vic says, use cutting oil or ordinary oil, drill 2.5mm, then 3mm, or you'll bust the drill bit. Okay, cool. Yes, I have cutting oil. I have lubricating fluid for the CNC machine that goes on the cutting bits. Yeah, all right. Vic says the L-shaped part isn't used in Picker. All right, I wonder where that came from. I must have printed that as part of something else. Don't know. Okay. Vic says, yeah, that'll work. Yep. Cool. I can't remember what it's called. My CNC machine has been sitting disconnected for several years now. I've got to connect it up and do stuff with it. Don S is here. Don S, welcome. And just in time to say goodbye. So, I am going to go, I think. I don't know if I have the energy to end the stream. I don't know. Yeah, I shall. I'll see if I can work up the energy to press the button. M3 bearings overkill, says John. Well, when I say bearings, it is an M3 nut that has been drilled out to 3mm so that the M3 thread goes inside it. It's not a bearing in the sense of having like a roller bearing. It's a bearing in the sense of being a sleeve. that the thread goes into. Yeah, Vic says M3 ball bearings are overkill. Also rare as hen's teeth and pricey. Yeah, the bearings would be tiny, teeny tiny. So this is a DIY sleeve type bearing, which is cool. Ooh, that was a message from my sister. There's a whole thing going on at the moment. I am actually going to have to end the stream because I need to go and meet her to do some stuff. Some family related things that I won't get into right now, and I need to get that done. So whether I got to this point or not, I do need to end the stream because that message was her saying that she's on her way to the place I need to meet her. Okay, so what? Tinker says I have some M0.5 bearings around here someplace. What? Are you talking about the balls themselves are 0.5 millimeter? That must be what you're talking about. It must be. Okay, so I'm going to go. Thank you very much for coming along. Yeah, hopefully the TTS will say Crispian's salutation. Is it going
Guru
to?
then.
Yep, there it is. That was Crispian. And because... Tinker says in a race has a 0.5 millimeter hole. Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy. So ta-ta for now, Vic, and Uru Crispian, and bye Don S. Thanks everybody for coming along, and I will see you all really soon, but not that soon. Soon, but not that soon. Just soon. So, thanks. See ya.